In this video, I'm going to be showing you 4 techs that you should learn on Lifeweaver. I found 3 of the techs just by messing around with them in customs, and 1 tech that I learned from ML7. The first one is the pedal jump. As the pedal is going up in the air, if you jump off of it at any point, you will have a little boost to your jump. This applies to all heroes and not just Lifeweaver. So, as you see, I let this go all the way to the top, and I'm jumping. You can see I'm not reaching all the way up to that high ground. But if I were to jump at any point as this is going up, you can see I get more height out of it. It's really simple to do. You don't have to do it like right at the top of the pedal stopping there. Like as long as it's going up and you press your jump in, it'll work. It's really easy to execute. You can see I'm just getting more height out of it. And you don't have to wait till it gets all the way to the top. Like you could do it right in the beginning if you want to. Usually when you step on the pedal, it will activate and go up in the air. But there is a trick to stop it from activating, and that's by spamming your jump button. I saw ML7 doing this in our pug, so yeah, it's really useful. So this is pretty simple. If you want to get more distance out of your dash, you can actually jump first and dash at the peak of your height to get a little more distance. You can see it's not that much, but if you combine it with movement speed and a jump, so I'm going to put this in slow-mo so I could kind of time my jump right at that line. You can see I just go much further than normal. So this next part isn't really a tech, but it's something that you should learn. I'm going to quickly teach you how this pedal thing works. So if there's something very close to you like a roof, you're not going to go as high on the pedal. But if like I'm out in the open, it's going to go much higher. So that's pretty easy to understand. If I put it at a doorway where the roof is very close, it's not going to work at all. It doesn't matter like where I'm standing, it's just not going to work. But if the geometry is right, so like if I look over here, you could see this geometry up here is just slightly above this one. I can actually abuse this by putting it close to this geometry, and look what this does. It blocks the doorway, and this forces your enemies to either crouch under it or jump on top and then crouch to get out of the doorway. So it's very useful to block people, and not only is it useful to block people, you can actually, if you're like standing here and you're trying to shoot somebody, you can kind of see it shoots the flower sometimes. So you can actually protect yourself or stall for time or make them miss their shots because they have to, they're gonna end up just shooting the flower. That's just what it is. Like you can see, I'm shooting the flower. I'm not shooting like past the flower. I'm gonna have to crouch it. But it just depends on the geometry. So, I mean, it's just a useful trick to learn. There might be spots in spawns that you can actually throw this and abuse this trick, so it's going to be really annoying to deal with sometimes. Enemies can break the flower. You can see it does have a health pack right there, and if you look on my health bar on the bottom left, it has 400 health and it will tell me how much health it has. And also as a bonus, it does work with the tree as well. You can actually block your teammates with the tree. You can see right here I can't go through, but if you press your Q button again, your ultimate button, it'll actually break your tree. So if you accidentally walled off the teammate or something with your tree, you could break it. But don't accidentally press your ultimate button again because you're going to lose your tree. Just remember, if you see a pedal positioned like this, it's most likely bait. Don't walk on it because look what happens when you do. You get stuck. So either your teammates are trolling you or the enemy is trying to basically waste your time. If you want to avoid it, do what I told you earlier, just jump. You can also B-hop after the dash, so if you walk off of a high ground or dash off of a high ground and hold your jump button, you can get a little B-hop out of it. But if you jump first and try to dash, you're not going to really get a B-hop, so you want to make sure you're walking off of a high ground, falling off of a high ground, or just dashing off of a high ground, then hold your jump button. If you're wondering, you can bounce off of objects with his dash, but it's like extremely underwhelming and it's going to be extremely niche. So I'm going to bounce off of the edge of this geometry and you're going to see how underwhelming it is. That was it. That was his bounce. So yeah, you can kind of see how not so useful his dash bouncing is, but there might be specific spots where you can actually get a use out of it. So one spot, for example, is this right here. If I were to try to jump up here, you can see you can't really stand on this and it's just like impossible to get up to this high ground. But if I jump and dash just right, if I time it right, you can see I can actually get on top of here, which allows me to get onto this high ground. So you could see if you find very specific spots, you could probably do like little rollouts like this to get onto a high ground. Another example, like this one's a really bad example, but this one right here, you can see I cannot get onto this high ground because it's just too high, and if I jump and dash, I will be able to get on top easily. So you have to look for these spots. So yeah, that's the only spot that I found that was useful. There might be more, but I'm not gonna bother looking for those. Anyways, that's the end of the video. If you guys liked it, go ahead and subscribe.
The audacity.